During Crime Victims' Rights Week, Michigan, Attorney General Dana Nessel reaffirms commitment to crime victims. LANSING. In recognition of Crime Victims' Rights Week, Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel is reaffirming the Department of Attorney General's commitment to protecting, empowering, and advocating for crime victims across the state. Since taking office in 2019, Attorney General Nessel has prioritized crime victim services, expanding efforts to ensure survivors receive support and resources. The top priority of our criminal justice system should always be to support crime victims, both by pursuing justice in their cases and standing with them along the way, said Attorney General Nessel. This requires a system that treats survivors with fairness while respecting their dignity and privacy. My office remains committed to ensuring victims do not have to navigate the criminal justice system alone. In 2023, Attorney General Nessel launched the Address Confidentiality program to protect victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, stalking, human trafficking, or those who fear that disclosure of their physical address will increase the risk of harm. The program currently protects 662 individuals across 325 households, keeping their physical addresses confidential and safe from abusers. To recognize Crime Victims' Rights Week, Attorney General Nessel held a roundtable today discussing the Address Confidentiality program and collaborated with partners to identify priorities and next steps for the program's continued growth. Karen Hall, Program Manager of the Michigan Address Confidentiality Program, Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel, and State Senator Stephanie Chang discussed the Address Confidentiality Program at a roundtable with community partners and state agencies. The Department of Attorney General's Victim Advocate staff support victims involved in criminal prosecutions, felony child support, Operation Survivor Justice, the state's Sexual Assault Kit Initiative, and the Catholic Church Clergy Abuse Investigation, to help provide victims comfort during court proceedings and meetings with prosecutors and victim advocates. The Department of Attorney General welcomed Bailey last year, its first victim advocate dog specially trained to support crime victims. In 2024, Attorney General Nessel announced the formation of the Missing or Murdered Indigenous People (MMIP) task force to address the high rates of violence against Indigenous people in the state of Michigan. This interagency collaboration brings together tribal, federal, and state and local prosecutors, law enforcement officers, victim advocates, and human services specialists to identify, develop, and implement solutions to the MMIP crisis. Attorney General Nessel has also fought for crime victims against the Trump administration and successfully halted attempts to strip critical resources and services to victims and survivors of crime. To further empower victims, the Attorney General recently launched a crime victim rights webpage to educate crime victims about their rights and guide them through the legal process after a crime is reported. The webpage includes a list of victims' rights, statewide victim support services and resources within the Department of Attorney General, information on crime victim compensation, guidance on victim advocate services, and an overview of the legal process for felony and misdemeanor cases. With Google search, more information is available on the Crime Victim Rights web page. Related to Michigan Address Confidentiality Program, in December 2020, Governor Whitmer signed the Address Confidentiality Program Act 301 of 2020. The Address Confidentiality Program (ACP) was created to provide certain protections for victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, stalking, human trafficking, or those who fear that disclosure of their physical address will increase the risk of harm. ACP is a statewide confidentiality program administered by the Michigan Department of Attorney General. ACP works to shield a program participant's actual physical address by providing an official designated substitute address and free mail forwarding service. Michigan Address Confidentiality Program. https YouTube SNI 3IQCHRYSC equals TKVIBOLG 2Q7ZVS via @MI@Gen @Dana Nessel. Address Confidentiality Program. For anyone who is at an increased risk of physical harm or threats, including the victims of stalking, domestic violence, sexual assault, or human trafficking. The fear of being found by their perpetrator can be overwhelming. The Address Confidentiality Program (ACP) helps victims of violent crimes and individuals at risk of being threatened or physically harmed to keep their address confidential. Find a certified application assistant or victim advocate near you. If a victim advocate is not currently available in your area, the Department of Attorney General can help register you and/or your family. Please contact 313-456-0190 and ask for an Address Confidentially advocate. ACP Online Contact Form, Michigan Address Confidentiality Program. ACP Online Contact Form. When to request ACP assistance. The Department of Attorney General ACP team is experiencing high volumes of phone calls and email correspondence on the application process. Before completing the online contact request form, please review the following. Information about ACP and the ACP process is available on this page. The Frequently Asked Questions is located at the bottom of this page. May address many of your questions. To submit an application, you must first contact a victim advocate or application assistant. We are working diligently to respond to everyone. All correspondence will be answered in the order in which it was received. In December 2020, Governor Whitmer signed the Address Confidentiality Program Act, Act 301 of 2020. The Address Confidentiality Program, ACP, was created to provide certain protections for victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, stalking, human trafficking, or those who fear that disclosure of their physical address will increase the risk of harm. ACP operates to shield a program participant's actual physical address by providing an official designated substitute address and free mail forwarding service. The participant will receive an ID card to show as proof of participation in the program and a corrected driver's license or state ID. The designated substitute address can be used instead of the program participant's real address. The designated address can be used by governmental entities, employers, schools, or institutions of higher education. Whenever an address is required by public agencies, private companies are not required by law to use the substitute address. However, program participants can request they use it. If you are a victim of domestic violence, stalking, human trafficking, or sexual assault, we recommend you reach out to your local victim services organization to discuss safety planning and resources available to you. Local organizations can be found here. Find services in your area. If you are in immediate danger, call 911. Individuals are ineligible or cannot be certified for the ACP if a person is required to register under the Sex Offenders Registration Act, 1994 PA 295, MCL 28.721 to 28.736. The confidential address has been provided to the Secretary of State. A person is not moving or not planning to move. If you have moved to a different confidential address, you must notify the ACP within 30 days of the change. All address changes must be made through the ACP. To request a change, submit a Change of Information form to ACP. The form can be submitted electronically or downloaded from our website and mailed to the ACP, 3030 W Grand Boulevard, Detroit, MI 48202. The Secretary of State, SOS, can only make an address change if your participation in the ACP is cancelled. Unfortunately, the ACP does not provide moving assistance. You may contact a victim services organization for resources. Local organizations can be found here. How to get a document notarized. Option 1. Notary personally knows the individual who is requesting a notarial act. Option 2. Signer provides a valid driver's license, passport, or other pictured state federal issued personal identification card. Option 3. Notary upon the oath or affirmation of a credible witness personally known by the notary, and the witness personally knows the individual. Where to find notary services. City and County Clerk's Office, banks, credit unions, UPS, FedEx, your place of employment, colleges, and universities. A list of notaries is also found on the Secretary of State website. The application assistant or victim advocates organization may also have notary services. The mail sent to the designated address is repackaged and then sent to the confidential address. Participants should expect a 3-5 day delay in mail delivery. The ACP law does not require private businesses to accept an ACP participant's designated address. However, private companies or agencies are encouraged to make every effort to keep a participant's information safe by accepting the designated address whenever possible. Resources: Address Confidentiality Program Act, Crime Victim Rights, Crime Victim Rights Brochure, PDF, Michigan Address Confidentiality Program Brochure, PDF, Michigan Coalition to End Domestic and Sexual Violence, Michigan Department of Corrections Crime Victim Services, Michigan Department of Health and Human Services Crime Victim Services Commission, Michigan Domestic Violence Hotline, Michigan Sheriff's Association Sheriff's Office, National Center for Victims of Crime, National Domestic Violence Hotline, National Human Trafficking Hotline, Prosecuting Attorneys Association of Michigan Victim Rights Unit, Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services, Voices for 855-864-2374, or 855 Voices for